decreases into perspective. In 2023, there were 959 carjackings that occurred in 2023, and to date, we have 243. Our ADWs are down 10%, and total violent crime is down 28%. As you can see, property crime is down 15%, with a 29% decrease in burglary and a 21% drop in vehicle thefts. What I also want to add is that we tasked our district commanders to develop prevention plans within our commercial corridors with respect to burglaries, and those plans have also been significant in helping us to drive down crime, as well as our burglary reductions, and we're certainly keeping our businesses safe by conducting hundreds of checks throughout each district to ensure that our businesses have the safety that they need at this time. Next slide. As we look at our homicide reduction, we are making great strides in reducing homicides, and this is really driven by the high visibility work of our patrol officers, as well as the work that our detectives are doing each day whenever we come in contact with crime in our city that results in a homicide. We are currently on pace to be at the lowest number of homicides in over 8 years. What we do know is that one person killed in our city is too many, and I want to take a moment to extend, of course, my condolences to those families who have lost their lives, their loved ones in our city. To date, our homicides are down 51% compared to 2023, and we are down 30% compared to this same time last year. As a number of homicides have decreased, our detectives are closing more cases. We've made 103 homicide arrests so far this year, which culminates into an 82% closure rate, which is the highest that we've seen in 13 years. Our homicide detectives are the best in the business. In addition to their expertise, we are working very closely with respect to our homicides because we have better technology, and we certainly have a partnership with the United States Attorney's Office. The U.S. Marshal Service's Capital Area Regional Task Force has also been very instrumental in ensuring that as the warrants are signed by the U.S. Attorney's Office, they are out there taking custody of those individuals who are responsible for those homicides. When we look at our shooting reductions, what we do know is that we are decreasing homicides and keeping our communities safer by driving down the number of shootings in our city. Nothing makes our communities feel less safe than the sound of gunfire or gunshots. Shootings are down 52% since 2023 and 32% compared to the same time last year. There are 488 fewer shooting victims this year than there were just 2 years ago. And that is an incredible reduction in the trauma experienced by some folks in our neighborhoods. We know we do have a lot more work to do, but we're confident that the strategies that we currently have in place are going to continue to make an impact in those areas. We're also identifying conflict and results to gunfire. Our Office of Criminal Intelligence is monitoring disputes between competing groups on social media, and I think we have been seeing a lot more success in being able to identify who the I'll say culprits are with regards to our shootings. We are also reacting faster to trends, analyzing recent calls for service for the sounds of gunshots, and we're crafting our deployment based on the various trends and patterns that we've been seeing on a daily basis. And we are committed to removing illegal firearms from our streets. We've recovered more than 5,000 firearms over the last 2 years, including 2,608 firearms this year thus far. One of the things that was really significant outside of the shootings and homicides that I heard from community was traffic. Keeping our communities safe is more than just reducing crime. It's also about making sure that our roadways are safer. And last year I expanded the size of our traffic enforcement team. The unit is now able to conduct almost daily enforcement operations. And this work has made a difference and it has been impactful. Our traffic fatalities are down 47% compared to this same time last year. We established the traffic safety compliance checkpoint in 2023 on some of our busiest highways, and we've conducted 58 checkpoints this year, where more than 4,100 motorists have received notice of infractions that have been issued. These checkpoints are not just focused on issuing citations. They're really about educating drivers, reminding them to slow down, and certainly reminding them to stay alert. We're committed to expanding these efforts and to build up on the same progress in 2026. We also know that keeping our communities safe cannot be accomplished without building trust with our residents. We continue to focus on the best way to reach out to our youngest residents. In April, I launched our Juvenile Investigative Response Unit to better respond to youth-involved crimes and to increase our outreach to juveniles who are currently in the criminal justice system. Our JIRU, which is what we call it, investigators have worked on investigation that has resulted in 227 juvenile custody orders. Those investigators regularly check in on our juveniles in the criminal justice system, ensuring that they are in compliance with the sentencing guidelines. And we have spoke at length about our efforts to curtail large youth gatherings where there is disorder in particular areas around the city. Since emergency legislation was enacted in early July, I've declared 15 curfew zones with only 19 curfew violations in those zones. These zones have been a tremendous tool at reducing disorderly gatherings. And I will say that we are committed to creating as many positive spaces that we can and supporting those efforts around our city where we know there are places and spaces where our young people can go to congregate. Our outreach team this year has hosted more than 2,000 events, which were attended by more than 110,000 residents. And I believe that interaction by our commanders and by the members of the police department has made an impact and a difference in our community. And finally, the most important asset to our police department is our people. I want to thank Mayor Bowser and Deputy Mayor Pia, who continue to allow us to make significant investments in our workforce this year, and we've remained focused on encouraging folks to join the Metropolitan Police Department. I will thank the mayor again for the new collective bargaining agreement, which took effect in September, delivered a nearly 13% salary increase to our sworn members, and increased our starting salary by more than $75,000. After 5 years of service, an MPD officer can make more than $95,000 a year. Our in-person recruitment team has also been instrumental and continues to travel. We allow them to travel beyond the walls of the District of Columbia to ensure that we are increasing our application pool. This year, we've seen an 11% increase in our application pool this year. Currently, right now, there are 134 recruits training at our Metropolitan Police Academy, and 18 recruit officers are set to graduate next Friday. We do have a significant investment in our Cadet Corps program, and it has paid off. 32 cadets have transitioned to become recruit officers this year. And I'll just put a plug in that if you're listening and you're interested in a position with the Metropolitan Police Department, we ask you to please go to the website, joinmpd.dc.gov to learn more. The men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department are owed a great deal of gratitude from all of us. And I cannot express my admiration and unwavering commitment and support that our members have really worked hard in keeping our city safe. Thank you for this time this morning and giving me an opportunity to talk a little bit about where we are with our crime trends. It is my hope and certainly my anticipation that we will continue to move forward with this same effort in 2026. I will now turn it over to Deputy Mayor Lindsay Appiah.
Thank you so much, Chief. And as the Chief said, we certainly, all of the numbers that you've seen, we say thank you to the hardworking men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department. We're grateful for their work. We also know in public safety and justice that it really is a team effort, that we as a cluster are certainly a team. And so I extend my thanks to the more than 10,000 men and women of the public safety and justice cluster who, as the mayor said at the top, have faced what I think is an unprecedented year full of challenges and the busyness that comes with being DC. There is only one DC, and I think that we experience that in the public safety and justice cluster. How we are able to see the numbers that the chief said, it is a team effort, and it involves investing in the men and women of the public safety and justice cluster and also in technology. Those have really been key investments that the mayor has made over the past couple of years. You've heard us always talk about recruiting, but we know that the way that we can make and ensure that our teams are most effective is by investing in our people and in technology. And so an example of that, you heard several investments that have been made in people at the Metropolitan Police Department and our Real-Time Crime Center. We've also made investments in other parts of our system that are critical. We all know that, you know, when people dial 911, it's very important that we're in a position to always have well-trained men and women who are able to answer the call, that they have the technology and equipment to do that. And so this year, we, through investments Mayor Bowser made in the FY26 budget, we were able to increase the salaries of the call takers and dispatchers at the OUC, putting them right at the top of the nation in salary. And also investing both at OUC $1 million in call taker recruitment and retention, but across the public safety and justice cluster, there have been investments to make sure that we not only bring new people in the door, which we are in a very competitive environment in the District of Columbia, but that we retain and keep really high quality, well-trained individuals. And so we are grateful for those investments. We also, again, technology is vitally important to make us more efficient and effective. And this year we were excited to reopen the original Public Safety Communication Center, which was an $18.5 million project. It represents an investment in interoperability and our ability to make sure that no matter what happens, that we're always able to answer the call, to train our call takers on the most high, you know, the best technology there really is in the country in public safety communications, to give redundancy. And that's what that center certainly represents. It also is an investment in, you know, Deputy Mayor Alba will talk about more, but in the McMillan site, it's our government investment in new spaces and communities that we're developing in the district. And so that is something we're deeply excited about. We also, all of these investments pay off. And what we saw this year is what I know to be true and what people across the country know to be true. The men and women in the public safety and justice cluster and these agencies are really the gold standard in public safety. And so this year we had many of our agencies that received national accolades, awards, accreditations that put them in a very, very small pool of people. You see the Department of Corrections, which was reaccredited, making them just one of 13% of jails that are accredited by ACA. Reaccreditations at DFS and OCME. OCME was also named the Medical Legal Death Investigation Office of the Year by the International Association of Coroners. Our Fusion Center at HCMA was named Fusion Center of the Year. Our Fire and EMS received Class 1 insurance rating, which is one of only 500 departments out of the 22,000 in the country to receive that rating. That was a 10-year process that culminated this year. And our OUC was recognized as they received the annual Technology and Leadership Award and also received training accreditation. And so across the cluster, while providing high quality services, helping to drive down crime and make sure the city is safer, our agencies are also performing at a level that's acknowledged by their peers across the country. And so we're extremely proud of their work. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Deputy Mayor Albert.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership and unwavering commitment to support DC residents and businesses, particularly during what has been a challenging year. But I believe that we are coming out stronger. Heading into 2025, we knew our affordable housing system was under serious duress. Mayor Bowser convened stakeholders from across the housing community that included providers, investors, tenants, and advocates to produce the Rental Act, a comprehensive piece of legislation that would protect the district's $1.4 billion investment in affordable housing, also so that we could overall look at strengthening our local housing ecosystem and make sure that DC continues to be a national leader in affordable housing. I do want to thank all of the partners that have helped us get past this critical reform package and enacted. And as we look to the future, we are looking to push for additional measures that are designed to stabilize and strengthen our housing ecosystem, because affordable housing is among the district's and this administration's top priorities. Of course, the reason why the district has been a national leader in affordable housing is because of the mayor's $1.4 billion over the last decade, and that has helped us add more than 15,000 new affordable homes citywide. The mayor had made the promise that our government would be a consistent and predictable financial partner, and the $100 million plus that the mayor's put into the Housing Production Trust Fund every year has been at the core of this policy priority. We also set bold housing goals to guide our vision, including neighborhood-specific goals that would drive housing production across the city. This fall, we welcomed residents, for example, into the Louise Senior Apartments, our first HPTF-supported project west of Rock Creek Park. The best way to blunt rising cost of housing is to build more housing, all types of housing across every parts of the income spectrum. And so we saw a lot of innovation over the past 10 years and in 2025 alone. At Buzzard Point, the stacks are delivering more than 1,100 new homes for DC residents, and it's in a mixed use and mixed income neighborhood. That development didn't happen by accident. It took shape after the district made catalytic investments at Audi Field. And that has transformed, that sports anchored, I'll come back to that, stadium has transformed this part of the city, Buzzards Point. We also opened Mary Center, DC's first dedicated LGBTQ plus affirming communal living space for seniors. In Anacostia, we cut the ribbon on the first Anna Townhomes, a DEMPED project that created new affordable transit-adjacent home ownership opportunities. And just down the road, we opened projects at the Bridge District and Berry Farms that are delivering housing and amenities to Ward 8.
And another example of innovative housing, but in the human services space, is the opening of the E Street Bridge Housing Apartments. We opened this in October, and it represents the second non-concrete bridge housing program we have, building on the success of the Aston and the Foggy Bottom area. This is a critical part of how we drive down homelessness and drive down our unsheltered population. So what makes this unique? Well, first, it's an apartment building. It's not low barrier shelter. The apartments are designed to accommodate those who are unsheltered. The vast majority of the people who reside in these apartments came right from encampments and right from the street. Services such as mental health services, substance abuse services are located on site. No one has to go anywhere. And it blends into the community in which most members of the community don't actually know that the majority of the folks in that building actually were unsheltered before they came in. And this allows for us to be able to make an offering of housing to an individual who might not want to go to low barrier shelter, and provides them an opportunity to get stabilized and services to prepare them for long-term housing programs like our permanent supportive housing program. And it's a program that has been vital to driving down our point-in-time count homeless population, as well as a very significant reduction in our encampment population in DC.
So we started the conversation talking about an unprecedented year and the acceleration of the need to diversify our economy. That means that we identified our high-growth industries, and there are a variety of them, but tech is among them and one of our fastest growing, and we also talk about sports and entertainment. But back to tech, DC is quickly becoming one of the fastest growing cities for technology in the nation. We have high-skilled talent that companies are very attracted to, as well as access to policymakers who are driving investments across the tech industry. We've seen major companies like OpenAI, NVIDIA, Cisco, SpaceX, and others making moves to have a presence here because they recognize not only the talent but also the access that only DC can provide. And so we're strengthening our position as a leader in technology and innovation by attracting jobs and investments that come with it. We're gearing up to deploy our $26 million DC Venture Capital Fund that supports tech startups. We're also looking to leverage that $26 million investment. And the Mayor's 26 budget creates new investments, such as our $2.4 million Technology Ecosystem Fund, which is designed to grow technology, the technology network across the city. which brings us to why also investing in sports, entertainment, and tourism. These sectors are growing. When people come to world-class cities, they're expecting to have world-class experiences. And so we are the sports capital, and that's why we're doubling down on sports. We've seen how stadiums are not only a home for sports, they are also home for concerts and a variety of different events. And so when we think about what the opportunity for a sports arena is to transform an entire neighborhood, we've done it, and we're going to do it again. Our ongoing investments in Capital One Arena are in progress. They're delivering state-of-the-art, an urban experience that has anchored downtown as the heart of our city's entertainment center. And the Commander Stadium will anchor 180 acres of mixed-use development along the Anacostia. The power of sports and entertainment is both real and it is underway. And the pride that is felt by our city cannot be underestimated with as early wins as the DC Defenders bringing home the UFL title and our Washington Spirit having made it to the championship match this year. With that?
And as we think about all of this extraordinary economic activity, it is, of course, vital to remember that the youth and children that live in Washington, D.C. have got to be integrated into the new corners of the economy that we are promoting. And we have to ensure that our young people have access to these kinds of chances and these kinds of great new jobs. And there's not a better example of how we're doing that than the brand new Advanced Technical Center that we opened up in Ward 8 this year. This is a place where public high school students come from all over the city, 25 different schools, in order to get college credit, high school credit, access to internships in the health services. This mirrors an Advanced Technical Center that we opened a few years ago in Ward 5, where we have seen young people accumulate thousands of college credits worth over $3 million. And get training in health sciences and cybersecurity. So they're getting credentialed in a way that will help ensure they get access to this wonderful economic activity that the mayor and deputy mayor have been talking about. And as we think about this reimagining of our high schools and our secondary experience, it's also not just in the public schools that this is taking place, but we recognize that employers and businesses are an essential part of this equation. So we are making sure young people have access to wonderful work-based learning opportunities, internships and apprenticeships. You all are very familiar with our Summer Youth Employment Program, where an astonishing 11 to 13,000 young people every summer get placements in our local employers. But we have also now complemented that with apprenticeship programs and internships that provide high school credit during the school year, that provide recent recent high school graduates with access to apprenticeships. We just opened the new tech hub in our UDC location in Ward 8 in partnership with Accenture, where we've got 50 adults who are now in a 6-month training program, full-time, getting paid, and will be guaranteed interviews by Accenture. And those are the kinds of innovations that will ensure our residents continue to get access to great jobs. And it is, of course, not just our young people that we care deeply about, especially over this past year. And the mayor mentioned the DOGE, I think he used the word devastation, but certainly when we saw the layoffs that were promoted in the federal government, we got very worried about the fact that those jobs were going away and we needed to support our residents who are federal workers who've been displaced. We also recognized it's not just a DC phenomenon, but it is in fact a regional problem. The labor market is regional, and we were able to provide a leadership role in the region with Maryland and Virginia to stand up a brand new initiative called Talent Capital. We did this by launching a new web presence called talentcapital.ai that provides our displaced federal workers with access to actual jobs, real jobs that they are able to apply for. And in addition, we folded in a lot of support around coaching and training that would continue to give them access. So we focused on young people, we focused on adults, and we have really risen to meet this moment. With that, I will turn it back to the mayor to talk about how DC truly is a great place to live and to raise a family.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I frequently refer to our investments in education and our performance in education as a bright spot in our city. Earlier, I guess it was right after or right before the school year started, we gave a briefing about what has happened in the school reform era in D.C., and it's been nothing short of remarkable, and it's due in large part to the willingness of D.C. residents and taxpayers to invest in the public education system. So this year, we were very proud to see that our graduation rate increased again, and now is at 78.7%. We also saw that we remained a leader in our early childhood education system, and there is no system like ours in this region, and probably not in the nation. Well, I don't know what anybody else who has universal.
We are ahead of the game.
We're ahead of the game on universal. So all 3-year-olds can go to public schools in the District of Columbia, and we see that 82% of our 3-year-olds and 95% of our 4-year-olds are participating, and we know that that gives them a real leg up when they go to kindergarten. We continue to follow our CAPE results, and we've seen the largest increase in proficiency rates post-pandemic, and we know that compares very favorably to our urban counterparts. Deputy Mayor Khan and his team have also launched a new website that we hope everybody is flocking to, most.dc.gov, that talks about more than 17,000 after-school programs in our city. So when people say, there's nothing for kids to do, or we don't, please make sure you've checked the Most DC so that you can connect your family with these often free programs or low-cost programs. So we appreciate your interest there. This Saturday, EdFest is back in person for the 2026-27 school year. We're going to be at Kraken Courts and Skate in Ward 5, the big space where schools from around the city will set up tables so families can ask about their school, either in their neighborhood or another school choice. And you can register at myschooldc.org. So again, at Kraken Courts in Ward 5 this Saturday. We had the great honor this past weekend of opening the new Fort DuPont Ice Arena. It's open to the public, I think, starting today. And you can also go on the DPR website to learn more about offerings at Fort DuPont. I've had the chance to go, put on some skates, and people are just having a really good time. So check out DPR for all of the opportunities to get active at Fort DuPont. You can go one slide back. And also for Rec for All. This is for people who are operators of programs who want to partner with DPR to put on a recreational program around the city. We have grants available, and I think some of these grant funds are going to be used to teach ice skating at Fort DuPont. So we frequently talk about why we're the #1 park system in the nation, because we just have a wonderful portfolio of offerings across all 8 wards. And all of these facilities, or one of these facilities, is less than a mile walk from where you live, if you live anywhere in D.C. So please check out Fort DuPont Park. And I think, Kevin, you're going to talk a little bit more about what we have been doing in terms of traffic safety.
One of the most powerful and probably underreported stories of this year is the decline in traffic fatalities that we've seen. This has been mimicked by a decline in injuries and crashes, so it is not just a fluke of fatalities. We're seeing safer behavior across the board. particularly when it comes to driver deaths, passenger deaths, and motorcycle deaths. So this is a credit to both the work of MPD and more robust enforcement. It's a credit to the work of DDOT and the significant investment the mayor put into improving our roadways. We track crashes before and after all of our construction projects. We know for a fact that when we invest in improving a corridor, there are fewer crashes and injuries and deaths in that corridor. So you see the result of a lot of activity the city has done. And I'll also add a third area that's maybe more elusive to define, which is we saw after COVID just an increase in people behaving in ways that were reckless, speeding. And we've just seen people driving safer around the country, and most notably and acutely in D.C. The roads they're also on are smoother. There was a time in the city when I started working here where potholes is probably one of the top 3 topics. You see the difference of that investment between 2015 and 2025 in the number of roads that are fair or poor condition. You went from really a majority of our local streets, a majority of our allies, being in fair and poor condition to a very small number. There will always be an alley or street each year which turns from good to fair or fair to poor. As they do that, we invest and we repave them, we resurface them if we have to, reconstruct the whole roadway. So these are improvements that people feel and see every day, and I think are just wonderful tribute to the investments we've made over the years.
Thank you, Kevin. And one of my favorite little factoids on that slide is from Dave Thomas Circle to Mamie Johnson Plaza. And it's it's kind of emblematic, I think, of some work that we have been able to do where we can do it from start to finish. From getting control of the circle, including a restaurant that was in use, to making it safer in just a few short years as part of being in Washington, D.C., you can do those types of things. So we continue to work with all of our crews, and so from DDOT to DPW to DGS, these are just a few of our agencies who are responsible for keeping the city clean and safe, and we want to say thank you. And finally, I want to announce our Fresh Start 5K. For those of you who haven't participated for 11 times, it's on New Year's Day. And it's going to be at the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. We've done a Frederick Douglass 5K once, and so I hope it's going to be. It's in front of one of the committees today, and so we'll get out the route information later this week. But mark your calendars. We have, and Thenie Freeman, the director of DPR, has set some big goals for participation, including the Kids Dash, which we added. I guess this will be the 3rd year for the Kids Dash. So it starts a little bit earlier. We want to get hundreds of kids involved. And by my request, we're starting a little bit later for the New Year's Eve revelers. And so you can join us. You can run, you can walk, you can jog, you can scoot, you can push your stroller, you can do all of those things. Just come out. So with that, we're able to take some questions on topic, and thank you for your patience. Yeah.
Thanks, Mayor. If I could just ask a few questions about Chief Smith's resignation. When did she submit the letter of resignation to you, and what was that conversation? I mean, was this something, a mutual conversation between you two? Did you try to get her to stay on through your term?
I always try to keep my people, and I always know when they're ready to go. And the chief has given us just a tremendous service. I think any chief that can look back at 2 years of dramatic crime reduction is leaving in good shape. And not only that, to make sure the department has the tools that it needs to advance. And the chief submitted her resignation last week.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Earlier today, the police union put out a statement regarding, Chief, your decision to leave. They said they respect your service, but they also added I won't read the whole thing, but, quote, "The union questions the timing of this announcement, which comes amid active investigations by the House Oversight Committee and the Department of Justice into allegations of manipulation of crime statistics and mismanagement with MPD. Can I ask you, once you leave, will you still be available to the committee and the Justice Department to assist in this investigation? And how much did this pressure from the White House, the Justice Department, the House committees, how much did this factor into you making that decision? That
Chief, can I just start? And I'm not really sure what statement you're referring to from Pemberton, and that's unfortunate because it sounds like he's trying to drum up his own investigation. And we are very proud of our partnership with MPD and the union. We're especially proud that we worked very hard to get them the type of agreement that the men and women of the police department deserve. And we can say without equivocation that all of our employees have participated as they have been asked by both the Congress and the USAO. Chief.
And so to answer your last question first, I have no comment with respect to the union's letter. I haven't read it. This is the second actually I've heard about it, but I have not had an opportunity to read it. And so my decision was not factored into anything with respect other than the fact that it's time. I've had 28 years in law enforcement. I've had some time to think with my family. I mean, I shared that this morning with on Fox 5 with respect to the fact that I've been running for 28 years. This has really been a fast-paced role because it is in a major city, and I know that the challenges that we faced have, we've had some high points and we've had some low points, but respectfully, right now, this is a personal decision for myself and for my family.
Yep.
Good morning, Chief, and the mayor as well. What kind of comes next in this process? We know you're staying on through the end of the year, but is there an interim? Can you speak about the process a little bit about finding the next chief of police? If there's anybody in mind you might want to talk about.
No, we will. I will make an appointment at the appropriate time. Yeah.
Peace and blessings. This question is either for you, Madam Mayor, or Chief Smith. Just in terms of the collaboration with the federal law enforcement, what latitude or what strategy are you going to employ just to ensure that there are no more warrantless arrests on the part of ICE, just given what the court decision that came out earlier this month? And just piggybacking off of that question, what reflections do you have in terms of just the post-search cooperation, what went right, what went wrong, just you coming out of your position as chief, how would you have gone about your MPD's relationship with federal agents post-surge?
So first of all, I wanted, and thank you, Sam, for that question. We've always had a relationship with our federal partners. I mean, this is not new. I came from the federal government. It's 24 years. And so those relationships that we've had the surge have always been there. What I will add with respect to once the surge began, the strategies that we have in place right now, I mean, I think we've said it a lot, that we do not work with ICE. We do work with our other federal partners, and the way that is designed and created, I think, has helped us to some degree with regards to making sure that if they're going to be here, that we have an opportunity to know exactly, where they are and how they can work with us in the space of public safety. They are assigned to all 7 of our districts. They do come to attend our roll calls, and then they do go out with our crime suppression team and our special mission unit officers.
If I may follow up.
Sure.
So my understanding is that HSI and ICE are sort of, if not the same entity, they're under, the name of the entity escapes me, but my understanding is that they're one and the same. So in terms of the 2 instances that took place on Bending Road and around Sheriff Road, those, in a sense, at least as residents see it, did involve ICE. So just speaking as a reporter, I would like some clarity around the nature of that relationship because, to your point, federally and locally, law enforcement has been collaborating, but with my 4 eyes, I can see that the relationship has changed from August 11th on. So, you know, as a reporter, once again, I'm just trying to get a sense of, once again, the nature of the relationship and how you as chief coming out would have approached it differently, given that, you know, under MPD's watch, HSI agents have shot at motorists, almost killing them.
HSI is a Homeland Security agency. They don't report to MPD. So HSI can operate in any jurisdiction in the United States of America. So their oversight body is the Congress of the United States.
All right, so in terms of that, Mayor, again, you know, and I'm approaching this as a reporter, you know, just for clarity's sake. What was the whole rationale in continuing that relationship? And I'm very clear, as Deputy Mayor Pia said last week in front of the council, that DC doesn't quite have the latitude to do what other cities are doing in terms of rejecting that. But at the very same time, you did say that that collaboration soured relations between the police and the community. So what was the rationale in continuing that?
And me issuing a mayor's order, I have exhaustively discussed that. And our mayor's order lays out very clearly our relationship with DOJ agencies. And we entered into it to exit a presidential emergency. And we have since, while our MPD and our officers and our leadership were driving down crime for 2 straight years, including leading up to the presidential emergency. We have also seen since then an acceleration of those improvements, and we finished the year with continued improvements in violent crime. Any other questions? Yes.
Yes, for the chief. Sorry, you can see me back here. I just didn't know if you can share anything about what's next. Are you staying in any law enforcement roles? Are you retiring altogether? Anything you can share on that?
So as I shared earlier this morning with Fox 5, I think the next step for me within the next couple of weeks is really to just relax, take a moment to relax and reflect on the resiliency of the members of the Metropolitan Police Department. I will be available to the incoming or interim to provide him or her support with respect to the direction that the police department will continue.
Okay. Yep.
Just kind of looking back, looking back on 23 crime surge in the district. This is for the chief. We saw every other major city, or most major cities in America, see a decrease in 23. When you came in and took over, what was it that you can look back on now and say was going right? What was going wrong in D.C. at that time, since it was lagging behind by about a year from every other major city in America?
Well, I think it was just really just the different strategies and the approaches. And I will say this, the mayor and the deputy mayor were very instrumental in ensuring that we had legislation that supported what we needed as police officers passed during that time period, and it really helped to provide the support that we needed to ensure that we could drive down violent crime in the city. It was challenging, yes, very challenging, but I think the decisions that the mayor made, the decision that the relationships that we built with all of our external partners within D.C. government, I think has been instrumental, and I think we overlook that the relationship that we built specifically with the Homicide Reduction Partnership Plan, and that wasn't just specific to the Metropolitan Police Department, but we brought in quality of life support from our D.C. government agencies, DBH, DPW, CFSA actually helped out, and there were some others, to name all the alphabet suits. But to be honest, it was really a collective effort of D.C. government agencies that really helped us in this space, as well as residents in our city.
Yep.
Mayor, you said you'll name an interim at the appropriate time.
Mm-hmm.
Will that be before the end of the year?
Yes.
Okay. And then can you tell us just about the challenge you're facing in trying to get somebody to replace the chief when you yourself will only be in your job for another 13 months, and so it may not be a permanent position? Will you be looking nationally or just within MPD? Can you just talk a little bit about the search and the challenges that you'll face given your situation?
I don't call it a challenge, Mark, because of the very deep bench we have and because of the great reputation of our department. So I wouldn't call it a challenge. We will have the right person in leadership, and I just want to give it a little bit more time. I will say this. I've been around long enough to know and to have lived through transitions and transitions for outgoing mayors, one of whom I was replacing. And so there are ways to approach this period of time and do it in a way that's going to be most beneficial to DC residents. So I'm gonna marinate on it a little bit, and I'll appoint the right perfect person.
I just followed, you said you have MPD as a deep bench. Does
Yes.
that indicate you'll be looking internally rather
Well,
than
obviously, I will. That doesn't mean I wouldn't look outside, but I'm obviously going to start first with the best police department in the nation. Yes.
Chief, I would say I think a lot of people in DC really admire you showing up day in and day out at night, early in the morning to unfortunate crime scenes, and I admire that as well. Also, you're involved with WDCA-TV and the kids in the Southeast. That was very special too. With all that said, what do you think is the biggest win for your time in office, and also the biggest loss?
So the biggest win, obviously, is driving down crime the way we've managed to do it at this point. But I think for me, because I am a person of community, I love this city. I mean, it has been a lot of work, but the way the members of the residents of the District of Columbia have embraced me. I remember coming into the space and I said to the mayor, I said, dang, people want to take pictures all the time. And she said, well, it would be something if they didn't want to take a picture with you at all. And so everywhere I go and everywhere I've been in this city, the residents have really embraced me, and I'm grateful for that. I think, and I'm going to make this personal, if I have to talk about what was challenging for me, was losing a member of our workforce. I thought about it this morning, like no chief wants to lose a member in the line of duty or even outside of the line of duty. And knowing that I was 3,000 miles away, and I just spent time with Investigator Wayne David the month before at an outside event, and we had such an amazing conversation. That was probably my lowest point on the job. I didn't know how I was going to get through that, and I don't think people understand, being a chief at the top of an organization, it can be lonely at times, because one of the things that we always have to do is show up strong every single day in this space, and I certainly appreciate, and I'm going to say this, Deputy Mayor Lindsay Appiah, she's walked the streets with me sometimes at night when I was first in this space. I mean, we're stepping over police tape and lines and all kinds of things, and I was like, "Ooh, did I know what I got myself into?" But I also appreciate the continued support, and my weekly meetings with Mayor Bowser has been something that I probably have never experienced in leadership. What I can say about the mayor's leadership for me is that she's not overbearing. She's been very, very intentional about allowing me to lead the police department and lead the city. And then there are moments where she's had to sit down and say to me, hey, we need to get this crime down. I'll never forget that day. And I walked out feeling like, okay, I've got to look at different initiatives and different strategies. And I wanted to make sure that we had the best leadership in place. And the mayor said it best. We have a bench of men and women at the Metropolitan Police Department who I would stand up against anyone across the United States 10 toes down. They know what to do. They know how to lead. They know how to manage. I also would like to applaud Chief Conti, who stood up the DC Police Leadership Academy. And that is a space where we build a generation of leaders, not just here in MPD, but across the United States. We have a long list of folks in line to take that class, leaders across the country. And so for me, it was really about continuing to build leadership. So at any point in time, I chose to walk away. The mayor, as she stated, it won't be challenging. She can look at the depth that we have and make the best decision for continuing to move our police department and our city forward.
Okay. One.
Beatrice Peterson, ABC News. Police Chief, another question for you. I was wondering, what do you hope your legacy will be as Police Chief? And what advice do you give for the next Police Chief? You've done 28 years of service federally and locally. So what do you hope that they can do for the next?
So I'll go with the 3 C's for the, you have to be able to communicate. You have to have excellent collaboration, not just with our external partners, but with our DC government partners. And we have to have, the person has to have a passion for community. The residents in this community, I mean, my phone rings all time of day, all time of night, and you have to answer the call. You have to answer the phone. You have to show up. You may have to sit in somebody's basement to have a conversation about something. You have to dress down sometimes. Sometimes I'm in community and people don't know I'm there, and it's just to protect the anonymity of the folks who really trust the Metropolitan Police Department, but sometimes are afraid to share the information that's necessary. And so I think those are the 3 critical things: communication, collaboration, and you have to be involved in community.
Okay, last 2. Oh, go ahead.
Legacy?
Let me think about that.
Okay, last 2 here. Yep.
Thanks. Chief Smith, I wanted to ask, for when you have your incoming interim police chief, the challenge right now is certainly with the federal Joint Task Force. And I wonder if you can elaborate on, A, the specific guidance you have given commanders or rank and file officers about how to handle that, especially when it comes to if federal immigration officers want to step in, a traffic stop, and then what advice you would give the next interim police chief.
I don't think I have to give him or her any advice. We've walked through this path together for 2.5 years. The leaders that you see in place, I meet with them on a weekly basis, sometimes 2 and 3 times a week. We talk about what's happening in the city. They know probably better than I do what's happening in community from day to day with our federal partners, because a lot of them are very intimately involved, especially our commanders. So at this point, I don't need to give them any advice. I think what I'd like to do is give them encouragement.
Can you elaborate on any instructions that you have given?
With the same instructions that we've had up to this point. If he or she chooses to go in a different direction, I will leave that up to the chief or interim chief to make that decision. But as of right now, we've been working in the vein in which I've advised, and it's working for us.
Appreciate it. I have a budget question. So last week during the legislative meeting, when the council extended the juvenile emergency curfew, it was my understanding that they wanted to see some budget priorities in terms of services and recreational activities for youth. Has there been any thought in acquiescing to that? Do you have any thoughts on, either Mayor Bowser or Chief Smith around just what the council is requesting? Is it anything?
Well, the council, as you know, is the budget maker. They completed the budget for this year just in, I don't know, what was that, August? The first week in August. So I'm assuming that they laid out their budget priorities in the budget.
Sorry, I meant for FY27.
Well, FY27, we won't issue that budget until March or April.
Right, and then so again, April 15th was their deadline because they wanted to see your priorities for FY27 before they started entertaining the possibility of permanent legislation.
I'm not sure I follow your question. I'm not.
So my question is that April 15th, that was the deadline that was imposed.
For in 2026?
In 2026, yes.
Okay.
Because they wanted to see your priorities for FY27, and if you were going to, I guess.
Oh, you mean for the juvenile curfew? That was a date that was associated with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I got it. Okay. I wasn't aware of that, but okay.
So in terms of your priorities, have you given any thought as to, acquiescing to that? Or is there anything in terms of programming that you see you can add, or is the council, are they out of step?
I won't say, well, I won't say they're out of step, but they may not be as aware about the vast programming that's available. And so we would want everybody, not just the council, but all of our agencies, as we do every year in the budget formulation process, we're looking at what works, what doesn't work, what needs to shift. I do think it's a bit of a red herring to talk about that in the juvenile curfew. I think they're two different conversations. And I would hope that the council wouldn't punt on what is working. I mean, what did they do? Did they pass it?
They extended it temporary to April 15th.
Got it. So we are, I would want to make sure that they're keeping tools in the toolbox that work. And it's really separate and apart from questions about recreation activities, in my opinion. All right, thank you, everybody.
So there you have it. D.C. Top Cop Pamela Smith speaking to the media for the first time since announcing that, well, she's throwing in the towel. Of course, the top cop was catapulted into the national attention after President Trump moved to federalize Washington's police force in a work to confront rising violence right here in the nation's capital. I should also make mention that Smith was appointed back in 2023 and is the first black woman to serve as chief of the D.C. Police Department. We'll take a quick break. Hey, on the flip side of that break, she's back in a major way. You see her right there, Monique Samuels, with a brand new book, Love Letters from Versions of Myself. She joins us next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, so all right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Oh, my gosh, she's in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, she needs no introduction. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, she is here. Monique Samuels joining us right here
What's up,
on the Live Zone.
Guy?
What's up, friend?
Oh, I couldn't leave without seeing you. I am so happy. I can't even stop smiling. I'm so happy to see you.
It's so funny. I got a text from you yesterday. I'm like, oh, my gosh, she's going to be in studio.
Yeah.
But not only are you in studio, but you're my friend, and I miss you.
Yes,
And it's
I
good to
miss
see you, sitting right next to me. And so for those of you who don't know, we spent many years doing radio together.
Yes.
And so many 5 a.m. mornings where
Oh,
we're all
my
walking in
God.
saying, what are we doing here?
Right. Leaving my house at 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, I don't miss getting up that early, but I do miss y'all.
Well, I tell you what, you've gone on to bigger and better things in a major way. Why? Do you see this, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, the book entitled Love Letters from Versions of Myself. This is something that's all about you, inspired by you, and true to you.
Yes, it is. It is. It started as a journal. And I felt so alone when I was going through some of my most challenging moments in my life during this period of my life. And I was like, it can't just be me. So as I'm journaling things, I felt like I was having this pity party. So I decided to start writing love letters to myself, encouraging me to move past where I was. And 2-3 months would pass. I would go back and read that letter, and it would be exactly what I needed to hear in that moment to get through to the next step. And eventually I said, you know what, this needs to be a book, because there are so many people, the more I started speaking out about it, about what I was going through and just the changes that you go through as a woman and as a wife and just as a person, people were like, yeah, I went through that as well. So it's the same situation, it's just different circumstances, different characters. And I want people to realize that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things about you, Monique, that I remember very vividly is you have transformed, if you will. And what do I mean by that? You have become someone that you weren't before, and you own it. And I think there's so much to learn from that, because so many people don't have the opportunity to do that, and if they do, they don't know how to navigate that. You've done that very well.
Yes, and that book, I'm telling you, that has helped me in so many ways, because what happens is people define themselves by a moment, a mistake, a mishap. And honestly, a lot of times it's not the other people that are outside of you that are holding you in that box, it's you.
Yeah.
You end up stunting your own growth because you can't let go of your own shame and guilt and your embarrassment.
Yep.
And then you won't move past it because you're afraid of what somebody else will say. Well, guess what? Those same people that are saying those things are doing the same things that you did. You just didn't know. So it's like, just move past yourself and know that regardless of whatever you do in life, you still deserve to be loved. You still deserve to be happy. You still deserve forgiveness for yourself first.
To say that is one thing. To live it is another. And what do I mean by that?
Yeah.
Your life is put on public display day in and day out.
Yeah. Some not so good moments, some embarrassing moments, all of it. Yeah.
But with that being said, to still be able to shine, to still be able to own who you are, yet again speaks volumes with regard to your character, Monique.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm a person. I'm supposed to make mistakes. I'm supposed to fail. The difference between people who fail and succeed versus people who don't do anything is the fact that they tried again. So I'm not going to give up on myself or anything that I want to do with my life just because I made a mistake or just because I did something that doesn't look so savory when it's in the public's view, you know? So I just have to keep pushing, and I know at the end of the day, there's somebody out there that can learn from my mistakes. So if I keep them all to myself and I hide them because of ego, well then now I can't learn, my ego's taken over, and then nobody else can say, oh, here's a template for how this person got through it, let me try to get through it as well.
Wow, gosh. So, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, at that, we could just drop the book, drop the mic. The other thing that I absolutely love about what you display and what you've been able to exude happens to be being a mom.
Yeah.
I love what I've seen you do throughout the years with regard to how you've raised your children. The importance of focusing on your kids has always been paramount for you.
Yes, absolutely. My babies are everything, and they deserve a childhood. I had a childhood. My parents did things the way they thought was best. I want to do things different. I keep it real with my kids. I'm not a superhero. I'm not perfect. I mess up. I make mistakes. I cry. I throw tantrums too. I'm just in a bigger version of you. I'm still a soul that has feelings. And I let my kids know all the time. If they say something, well, that kind of hurt mommy's feelings, and let me let you know why. And let them see that, hey, the same way you get upset, mommy can get upset as well. So I don't make myself so much bigger than them. I'm gonna put them in check, obviously, as a mom. You ain't just gonna get away with anything if you're not being right. But it's all about teaching them how to manage their emotions. It's that emotional intelligence piece that I think a lot of people are missing because our parents didn't really know. You know, so I'm just trying to be better, and I want my kids to be better. So
when it comes to being better, and we'll end with this, and that is, yet again, so many folks watching right now saying, I want to be just like Monique, to know that people wake up striving to follow in your footsteps, to be just like you, to mimic you, to live the life that you live, and yet again, represent what you represent. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot, but it's a heavy weight because I don't want people to be like me. I want people to look at me and say, I want to be better than that. You know, I want you to set your own goal based off of what you can do and what you can accomplish, and let you be the bar for yourself, and just keep reaching that bar. That's why I call the book Love Letters from Versions of Myself. All of us have so many versions of who we are. We don't change circumstance and situation. We change who we are so that we can become the person that gets it all.
And you too can find out more by reading this. What is it? You see it right there on your TV screen. Love Letters from Versions of Myself, a memoir of self-discovery, transformation, and healing by the one and only my friend, Monique Samuels.
Thank
it's always
you.
good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to see you too.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. It is now 5 minutes past the top of the hour. It's the big story of the day. D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith resigning. Prior to joining MPD, she served as the United States Park Police Chief. Smith was the first African-American woman to serve in that role. Earlier today, she joined our very own Steve Shineby and said this.
D.C., why now?
Well, first of all, let me start by saying thank you so much for doing the interview this morning. I want to begin by saying thank you to Mayor Muriel Bowser for, number one, trusting me with such a significant responsibility here in this city. Mayor Bowser was very key and instrumental in making sure that there were we had a policy-led environment that will allow me to lead the police department the way we should. What makes me make the decision today, it was a tough decision, to be honest. 28 years in law enforcement. I've already retired from the United States Park Police after 24 years. I stepped into this role when crime was at its all-time high. And what really resonated with me was going home for Thanksgiving to visit my family in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. My mom passed away 2 years ago. I have been going nonstop. I have missed many amazing celebrations, birthdays, marriages, you name it, within our family. And being able to come home for Thanksgiving 2 years after my mom passed really resonated with me and has allowed me to make a decision that I think is necessary, not just only for me, but also for my family.
Are you going to go back home? Are you going to stay here?
I will stay in the area. I have no desire to live in Pine Bluff at this moment. I will remain here in the DMV. The District of Columbia is an amazing place to visit. It's a wonderful city. It's a beautiful city. I've been here since 2011, and I am certainly humbled to have had the opportunity to serve as the Chief of Police.
You talked about some of the changes that the department has taken to the positive. Obviously, the violent crime rate has come down under your tenure, even in the last 2.5 years. But a lot of people also see the changes that come from the federal level as well. And this has been a challenge. You've had to work and balance that with the federal law enforcement. Did that impact your decision to step down at all?
It did not. I come from the federal side, right? I spent 24 years in federal law enforcement. And as I'm pretty sure the entire world recognized that we met some challenges in August of this year with the federal surge and the executive order with regards to the crime emergency. But what I will say is that our mayor, Muriel Bowser, did a fantastic job with leading us through those efforts. So no. I have always had a positive relationship with our federal partners, as well as it predates me with the Metropolitan Police Department. Our federal partners work with us in our Violent Crime Suppression Division. They also work up with us on our Capital Area Regional Task Force and any other special large-scale events that we have here in the city. We work very collaboratively with our partners.
Can you talk just for a minute now about how that balance has been with working with the federal government, particularly the White House in this case? Yeah. Because obviously there's been a lot of questions from D.C. residents about the working with ICE, or if you are working with ICE, how that balance has been. Could you talk about that and try to set the record straight for some viewers?
And so I think we all know that when the presidential executive crime emergency was announced, we had to work with ICE. Since that time, we have not. We do not work with ICE. We do work with our federal partners. The team is doing a fantastic job. We have established protocols where we support the actual federal partners are providing support for us in all 7 of our districts. And to date, it's working. It has been, they work very closely with our crime suppression team members assigned to each district, and it has been a very positive interaction up to this point.
There were also some questions, and since we're trying to set the record straight here, as to whether or not, and this was the accusation from some members of Congress and the White House, if crime numbers were manipulated. Were they?
No. I can say this to you, Steve. I have never and will never authorize or even support any thought processes or activities with regards to crime numbers being manipulated. What I will say is that when it's brought to my attention, we will hold those members accountable.
2.5 years as chief of D.C. Police, you say this was the honor of your career. What will you look back on as far as accomplishments, how you measure your own success, or just the memories that you will have of this time leading the D.C. Police Department?
I think what I'll look back on is how resilient the members of the Metropolitan Police Department have been throughout the 2.5 years that I've been here, but even prior to that. Members have gone through January 6th. Last year we had a significant number of national security special events. We went through a plane crash. We've had some significant high-profile violent crime incidents. But I can reflect more importantly on how well they have navigated through all of the things. And even some of the negative commentary that have come out about the police department, I think our members have really held their head high. They've been very professional. They've been steadfast and making sure that we stay focused on what the mayor's priority has been for this city, and that is to ensure that we continue to drive down crime.
D.C.'s not alone. Policing has changed over the 28 years since you first started, and departments all across the country certainly face challenges when it comes to things like staffing and the way that you can go about policing on a day-to-day basis. What do you see for the future, or what would you like to see for the future of D.C. as its needs continue to grow?
Well, what I will say is that, I think most police agencies around the country, we're still dealing with challenges when it comes to, hiring police officers. We have established an entire recruitment team. We've seen an 11% increase in our application process since that team has been established. I think we have a pretty good team. I've made some positive, moves, reassignments, promotions, and all of the commanders that are currently in their assigned roles and assistant chiefs, they're very strong. They've been members of the Metropolitan Police Department long before I arrived. They're very passionate about this work, and my expectation is that they will continue to move in that same capacity.
Do you think the department's in a better place now than it was when you took over?
I think it's in a better place. Yes, I think we're in a better place. There's still some things that we need to do. There's always challenges, right? I'm not patting myself on the back with respect to that. I think that we have the right members in the right place to continue to move the agency in the positive direction.
You talked about making sure that everything is set up for the mayor and what the mayor wants, but the mayor also announced that she will be stepping down at the end of next year as well. Did that impact your decision at all?
It did not. What I can say about, I've had 2.5 years, but I've also been in this city since 2011, and I've watched how Mayor Bowser has navigated and led this city. It was certainly a consideration, but certainly was not my deciding factor.
As far as what's next for the department, it's our understanding it'll be an interim position, at least for now. Is there anybody that you have supported or that you want to see in that role, or that you've already decided on, if you have any of that say, or if it's up to the mayor?
It will be up to the mayor. That's the mayor's decision, and I support whatever decision the mayor chooses to make.
So for the first time in 28 years, you have some time now, and you said you want to stay in the area. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to do now that you have finally a little free time after 3 decades?
I think the one thing I'd like to be able to do is to go back home to my house, sit on the deck and drink lemonade. It's going to be a little too cold to do that right now, but I have a nice outside heater that I can kind of set up, and just really to relax my mind, and not this is a really challenging, but it's a good job. Right, I think whoever chooses to come into this role will find that there will be a lot of positive things. I think what's really important for whoever comes into this role is that the community has to be, outside of the members, has to be our number one priority. Being able to stay engaged with our members of our community, our residents. I mean, they have been really fantastic to work with, and I think that we have to continue to include them in our efforts when it comes to driving down crime and public safety.
And I want to end with that, Chief, because when you came on board in July of 2023, you said you wanted to focus on the community, right? You wanted to get the officers back into the community to work as closely as you can with them. Any parting words that you want to say? And I know you're going to be on the job until the end of the calendar year, but any parting words you want to say to the viewers, to the people of D.C.?
Thank you. Is there a camera I can look at?
You can look directly into this one right here.
Washington, D.C., thank you so very much for embracing me. A little girl from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, who came in with a vision. I had a mayor who trusted me to work very hard and very diligently. I'd like to thank the D.C. Council also for your support. But Washington, D.C., even though no one wants to see one homicide in our city, certainly we are at a 30% reduction today. We recognize that there's still more work to do, but thank you. Thank you for embracing me, and thank you for embracing the members of the Metropolitan Police Department. I will never forget how you have treated me, and it has truly been an honor, the utmost honor to serve this city. And may God bless you, and may he continue to keep his spirit resonating over this city. Amen.
Chief.
There you have it. Top Cop Pamela Smith earlier today joining our very own Steve Shineby, announcing that she is retiring after 28 years of service within law enforcement. Earlier, the chief also stated that, well, the next police chief perhaps would also need to focus on communication, collaboration, and most importantly, community. We'll take a quick break. On the flip side of that break, did you hear? Yes, Crafting Future is now underway. There he is, Dennis T. He joins us next live right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Giving back in a major way. That's exactly what Clark Construction happens to be doing today. What am I making reference to? Well, it's dubbed Crafting Futures, and it's all about, well, teaching high schoolers to promote careers in construction, in skilled trades, but don't let me tell it. That's why we have this guy, our guy, your guy. Hey, Dennis T. now joining us right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, my friend.
Hey, good to see you too, Guy. Again, it's been a crazy day full of energy and education right here inside of Capital One Arena, District E, where students, 40 high schools were invited right here from the local DMV to learn about the opportunities provided in skilled trades. And I'm standing beside two rock stars right now. And I'm going to start with the one and only Regina, who is the director of the STEM program at Jackson Reed High School. Regina, we've seen it all today. Students have been so eager to learn about the skilled trade opportunities that can help set pathways to their success. Can you tell us, why is that important?
It's so important because, especially at my school, Jackson Reed, so many students are college going. They feel the pressure. There's a tradition of going to college, and I think having that exposure of trade opportunities are such a viable, important option, not an alternative, but just it's a sincere option for college. And so having a chance to not just to sit and get and hear people talk, but actually to see some trade demos and see the building that's on the drive home to them, that opportunity for them.
And this is the structure right here at Capital One Arena. Now, the job placement. So many students are worried about beginning their lives out in debt. And that's why colleges, universities, no disrespect to them, Guy, but if you can have another option to begin your career debt-free right here in the skilled trades, how do you think students feel about that?
I think it's new information to some of them. And so I think that's why today it's just so important for that exposure of this is an opportunity. There's apprenticeship programs and internships that I can start as soon as I graduate high school. I can be interviewing now. I can be getting ready for my future right now, debt-free. So super important for that access to the information today.
Thank you, Regina, so much. And Guy, there's a transformation project happening right here inside of Capital One Arena. And we all know Clark Construction, MSC, it's a great partnership. And this guy right here is Jordan. He is the president of MSC Venues. We've been going over it back and forth. Can you tell us, what does that partnership mean to you with Clark Construction?
Yeah, Clark has been such a great partner of ours over the last, year and a half as we've gotten through this first phase of construction. We've done almost $1 million hours of work on this project to date. There have been 150 local companies that have engaged on this project. But it's these events and talking with some of the small businesses that have been engaged on the project that really are meaningful, like making so many opportunities for not only people who are working on the job today, but, through the apprenticeship programs to get, people from these 40 high schools across the DMV region into the program and into a project like ours and create a career out of it. That's what we're really excited about. It isn't just about the bricks and the mortar and our fans, but it's about what we're doing for the community and making this major investment into DC's downtown core.
Jordan, you're obviously invested in changing the lives of so many people right here in the DMV. Can you tell us, what does this partnership mean to you and the impact you're providing for many youth right here in the DMV?
Yeah, and I always think about like the fan experience and people coming to experience events here for their first time, and also about the people that make it happen too. I always talk about our part-time staff. We have over 1,000 part-time staff workers that work for us on a game night, but this project, and it's nearly $1 billion. All of that money isn't just in the concrete and the steel, it's in the people. We're investing in our community and making sure that we're bringing back this part of downtown. So that's what's really been meaningful on this project for me.
Guy, when I tell you, it's been a day that's been life-changing because we are investing in our community, in our students, and the educators are also pouring that back into the students and letting them know that there are so many opportunities available within skilled trades. And and I know, Guy, it's the booming industry, over 400,000 jobs available, and it's still going and going. So again, crafting futures, Clark Construction, right here at Capital One Arena. It's been a great day.
Dennis T, I got to tell you, if you could pass a message along, see if I can mix some concrete too. I've always wanted to do it, and hopefully I could do that as well. Perhaps I'm just a little bit, too old to do just that. Need to scale back a bit. But keep me in mind, Dennis T. Truly appreciate you yet again, live from Capital One Arena as he discusses all things with regard to crafting futures. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Folks, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, the Supreme Court now grappling with President Trump's power to capture control of independent agencies in an important case that could literally reshape the federal government and unwind a precedent that has been on the books since Franklin D. Roosevelt was in the White House. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Corinne Clifford, White House press corps, back here on the Live Zone. Corinne, always good to see you. Thank you so much for being patient and welcome back to the show.
Oh, it is so exciting to be here because there is so much news.
Yeah, so before we make reference or touch on with regard to what's happening with the Supreme Court, you had a very exclusive interview, if you will, surrounding the D.C. pipe bomber, the gentleman that is alleged to have left not one, but, well, several pipe bombs outside of the RNC and DNC. It's to my understanding, you spoke with his mother. Do tell.
Yes. So yesterday I decided that it was a Sunday and that it was a safe time to go to Woodbridge, Virginia, which is about 35 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. I brought a driver with me and I was very careful what I did because it was dusk and I felt like that was a good time to talk to people, you know, right as they're about to have dinner. And shockingly, his mother, Brian Cole Jr., his mother, answered the door for me. And she was very kind, and I had eye contact with her. Her name is Delicia Cole, and she said that her son is innocent and that he has been framed. Now listen, she doesn't know what jail her son is in right now, and her son has lived with her basically his whole entire life. She's no longer with the son's father, Brian Cole Sr. Brian Cole Sr. seems to be in charge of the case. He's hired the lawyers, you know, he's telling his, the mother of Brian Cole Jr. and everyone around them not to talk to press. And so I think it's a very interesting situation because Brian Cole Sr. is a bail bondsman. So the son, Brian Cole Jr., works for the father. He's a 30-year-old man. He's very quiet, introverted, spends a lot of time on the computer. His mother told me that she believes he's autistic. He loves his dog. He goes to the local 7-Eleven, and I interviewed the neighbors.
Wow. And so out of curiosity, what did the neighbors have to say, all surrounding Mr. Brian Cole?
So it's really a 50-50 black-white neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood. I would live there. I didn't dox any addresses. I'm very careful what I do because this is controversial to go to someone's home and talk to them. But the mother of Brian Cole Jr., you know, she wouldn't let me put her on camera, which I understand. You know, she was very upset. She'd been crying. You could tell that she was, you know, she didn't feel comfortable on camera, which I'm very respectful. I'm not going to tape record anyone or film them. But the neighbors were talking to me openly. One neighbor said he was going to punch me in the face if I didn't get off his property. I know my rights. I walked to the edge of his property and I said, I have the right to be here. I passed around a letter, an open letter saying, contact me if you have information, because if this man is innocent, we need to know, we need to help him. But the neighbors all told me the same thing. He's a very quiet person. There's no major fights happening at their home. They don't know much about him. They see him walk his dog often. He's a quiet kid and he wears thick glasses. So this is what I want to tell you. The pipe bomber in the videos was wearing a mask. Obviously, he wasn't wearing thick glasses. It was winter time, January 2021, when this happened. In court last week, Brian Cole Jr. was wearing thick glasses, but I do want to start investigating, you know, does he have contacts, things like that. We need to know everything. I don't want to start pinning a man who's 30 years old. His life is going to be basically destroyed right now. Of course, his mother says he's innocent. The neighbors say he's a very kind, quiet person, and he's asexual.
It's very interesting, Corinne, I must tell you. With regard to the circumstance surrounding his mom stating that perhaps he was framed, what led her to believe that? And with your conversation with her, did she make mention or did she elaborate as to why she believes that?
She said it. She said she couldn't talk about the case. Of course, her lawyer, the lawyers always tell you not to talk about cases, which I think is not very wise. They should talk about the case openly because then media like me will go after them continuously because Delicia Cole was so honest and kind with me. You know, I'm going to let her have a lot of breathing space. I'm going to see her in court next Monday. But the bottom line is that she said her son wasn't the type who would want any ill will on anyone, which I actually believe. I looked in her eyes, I talked to her, and this is a very serious situation because if this person, Brian Cole Jr., is innocent, This could destroy his life. He'll never be able to get a job in the world again. He does currently work for his father, and he does understand how serious this is. So he is being quiet. They're being very careful. But let me tell you something. I interviewed over 2,000 people since 2020 arrested during the Biden administration. I know how to handle these cases. Everyone I interview, the people I gave the most publicity to, they've been pardoned to date, and I have no one in jails or prisons. So if you do get arrested, you should talk to the media in a very specific way, not about specifics of the case, but you should let people see your personality. You should let people see your compassion and passion. It's not good for Brian Cole Jr. not to make a public statement. We deserve to know what kind of person he is, and I want to know his medical history with his glasses. That's what his mother and I were talking about, and that's what she was basically saying to me. He couldn't be the pipe bomber. He can barely see. He wears very thick glasses.
Very interesting. Yet again, Corinne Clifford with the latest. We truly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Folks.
Happy holidays.
Same to you. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, the holidays mean lots of family gatherings. You already know that. Well, this season comes with news the flu is on the rise nationwide, including a new strain that could make for a nasty flu season. So, how can we know what we have ASAP and how to treat it before we spread germs to our friends and family? To tell us more about that, we welcome Mr. Martin Price. He's the CEO of Health Track RX, and he joins us right here on the Live Zone. Mr. Price, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Guy. Nice to be with you.
So I got to tell you, the throat's a little scratchy here, but I think I'm okay. I think it just happens to be allergies. I've been traveling a lot. Not the case for a lot of other Americans who are perhaps dealing with this new flu strain. I'm hoping you can elaborate. What should we look out for, sir?
So two things that we're concerned about this year with the flu season. As you noted, we're now at the point where we are heading into peak flu season. And what's concerning is that the predominant strain that we saw earlier this year in overseas seems to be the dominant strain here in the U.S. as well. And the current vaccine is simply less effective than it's been in years past at reducing severe symptoms of the flu or preventing flu. Secondly, we're seeing a late surge for RSV. Typically, RSV occurs prior to flu season, but this year they're both trending to peak around the same time in mid-January. So it becomes that much more important to diagnose what do you have so you can get the right treatment because they're treated differently.
Yeah, it's no secret, but your company has been called the Amazon Prime of diagnostic testing. I got to ask you, what does that mean?
So HealthTrack RX has made testing for infectious disease fast, affordable, accessible. So today you can walk into any number of 400 plus urgent care pediatric centers just in the DMV, get swabbed, and by leveraging molecular PCR testing for infectious disease and a state-of-the-art logistics solution, we'll return a result to you tomorrow morning that tells you exactly what you have. Do you need a prescription? And if you do, which one will work?
Yeah, this is really key, and so is, I would bet, probably getting a quick diagnosis, correct?
Speed is everything when it comes to infectious disease testing, and particularly respiratory infections, which spread so easily. We all saw this during COVID. Respiratory viruses spread through the air. It's not like you need to have contact with the skin or an exchange of fluids. And so as people are heading home for the holidays, at gatherings, the likelihood of spreading an infection, a respiratory infection, really is high. And so getting that right diagnosis immediately and getting on the right treatment quickly is critical.
Yeah, this is truly state of the art, which leads me to the question, why now and why in the past did it take so long?
So it's all about technology. And for the past 150 years or so, the traditional method of diagnosing what do I have has been through culture. You may remember that from elementary school biology. Literally watching a sample or a specimen grow in a petri dish. It just inherently takes 3 to 5 days to get an accurate result. Molecular testing or PCR testing that we all saw during COVID has applicability to all types of respiratory viruses and infections. So utilizing molecular PCR testing for respiratory infections just totally changes that paradigm to now be able to turn a result in hours, not days.
Yeah, and so with that being said, it's probably the reason why it's so important that you all get a quick turnaround to really know what the patient is dealing with, correct?
Speed is everything when it comes to respiratory testing and diagnosis. And so getting a patient on the right prescription quickly is paramount, or having the information to know that if I'm not prescribing, it's because that virus doesn't need one or that patient's condition doesn't need one. It's simply about how do we get patients healthier faster and reducing the transmission of respiratory viruses during this season.
Yeah, I have to be honest with you, that scratchy throat feels a lot better now that I've spoken with you. Yet again, Mr. Martin Price. He is the CEO of HealthTrack RX. Folks that want to find out more information about the organization, the company rather, how would one go about to do so?
Great. Please visit our website at www.healthtrackrx.com. That's healthtrackrx.com. And there you can find data around infectious disease infections in your area, as well as where to find a provider that can turn a quick result for you.
Very good, sir. Mr. Price, good to see you. Make it a great day.
Guy, thanks a million for having me.
You bet. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Let's have a little fun, shall we? Well, sort of. In this case, we're making reference to the fun cities in the good old US of A, or shall I say, the least fun cities. When I think of fun, I think of, well, two people, quite honestly. Producer Joey, who's now joining me, to discuss all things fun, and Chip Lupo as well. But Joey, I got to ask you, for you, what do you consider to be a fun city?
Well, we got team coverage on fun here today, which is really interesting. But what I would consider a fun city is affordability in the clubs that you have. I don't think it's just about having like an insane party scene. I think if it's like a Miami club and a drink costs $130 and it's on fire and it comes to you in bottle service, I don't consider that fun.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
I'm definitely with you on that. My wallet doesn't consider it fun either. Let's bring in Chip Lupo
Speaking
now.
of wallet.
From Wallet Hub with a little bit more. Chip, I saw you smirking as Joey made reference of a fiery drink in Miami.
That's usually when people look for fun. It's not fun draining your wallet for a night out on town, that's for sure.
So let's walk through this. Obviously, you all have now highlighted the least fun cities in America as well. And I'm hoping you could break down the criteria.
Yeah, because what we did is that basically we just we compared 180 U.S. cities on 65 metrics, and those range from everything from fitness centers per capita, movie costs, business hours of breweries, average cost, sports friendliness, just a wide range of things to make it fun. And then we just ranked them from 1 to 182.
Wow. So obviously, when we make mention of fun and fun cities, I haven't seen the list. And so I'm guessing probably Vegas happens to be on there. And I would also have to argue Miami. Am I correct?
Correct, Guy. Las Vegas is number one, which I found interesting because we did a recent study on the most sinful cities, and Las Vegas ranks number one on that one also. So maybe there's a correlation there. Miami is third, and sandwiched in between those is Orlando, Florida, and rounding out the top five are Atlanta, Georgia, and New Orleans, Louisiana.
Wow. I wonder if Orlando happens to be on that list because all things Mickey Mouse, all things Disney, which, well, quite honestly, I could fully understand as to why that would be if you happen to be a big fan. I got to ask, Chip, D.C., where did we place?
Washington, D.C., no, we're talking about 182 cities. Washington, D.C. was 19th overall. And as you know, Guy, there's never a shortage of places to go or things to do. It's a great sports city. There's plenty of bars and nightclubs. But let's do that flaming drink analogy. Washington, D.C. is very cost prohibitive, 174th out of 182. Now, to put that into context, that's only 2 spots better than Honolulu, Hawaii, just to give you an idea.
Wow, that's so interesting to me. And I've been to Honolulu, and I got to tell you, that's a fun city, but I don't think it's right up there, I would say, with Washington, D.C. It's just a place where you like to relax and, well, I guess just take in the sun. D.C., I don't know. I think there's more of a party scene here. Wouldn't you agree?
I would think so, but again, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to party in D.C. Average beer prices, 172nd out of 182. Very high restaurant meal costs, movie costs, bowling costs. Costs a fortune to enroll to sign up at a fitness center, and of course, the overall cost of living. So all that ties together to, and that's probably what kept DC from being maybe a top 10 or at least a top 15 city for fun.
Yeah,
never a shortage.
I remember grabbing a drink a couple of weekends ago at a bar, and I think it was around $30 for just one drink. And at that point, I said, from here on out, producer Joey will have to purchase my drinks because I can no longer afford it.
I have to do that now. That's real.
But that $30 could have been better spent just going to the store and grabbing you a case.
One of the many studies that Wallet Hub conducted. Speaking of studies, let's move on to all things identity theft, which I just find this to be so amazing. You all conducted a study with regard to what states, or the residents of a particular state, really have to deal with this the most. Do tell.
Yeah, now, fraud and identity theft, particularly in this digital age, is becoming a rampant problem. And what we're finding is that states that are highest risk of fraud and identity theft, a lot has to do with the states not putting a lot of safeguards in place, whether it's in something like cybersecurity task force or what's known as identity passports, which would provide you some sort of protection if crimes are committed with someone who steals your identity. Washington, D.C. was right up there, 5th overall, Florida, California, Georgia, New Jersey, and then Washington, D.C. at 5th. Washington, D.C. has a high risk of fraud and a reasonably high risk of identity theft, and part of the reason is that there are no safeguards in place on the books in terms of DC that's going to protect consumers from identity theft.
And so with that being said, Chip, I got to ask, what precautions should one take? How can one combat that to make sure that they too don't become a victim of identity theft?
Well, that's the thing, because if your local government's not doing much to protect you, it's on yourself to be able to make yourself as identity theft proof as possible. And of course, that starts with having a secure email account, use very strong passwords, use two-factor authentication. You can also reach out to your banks and credit unions for fraud alerts. They'll text you, email you, or call you, depending on what your preferred method is, if there's something suspicious on your account. Now, it could be something that you normally do. You know, ringing up a $30 charge at a local nightclub might raise red flags to some people, but you'll get a text, and if it's a charge that you made, all you have to do is just acknowledge that it was so, and you're all good. And if not, then you need to start taking some steps to trace that before it becomes too much of a problem.
Yeah, no one definitely wants to fall victim to identity thefts, particularly during this time of the year as we celebrate all things holidays. Chip, folks that want to find out more information, how would one go about to do so?
Just log on to wallethub.com and check out all of our studies. And again, the current study is about states that are vulnerable to identity theft and fraud. One other thing I want to point out, Guy, before we go, is that we talked about the correlation between policy and identity theft cases. Virginia is well above average, 32nd overall, one of the least at risk for identity theft, and the reason is they are number one in policy. Just about every type of safeguard or protection you can imagine is on the books in Richmond to help folks to combat identity theft.
Well said. Yet again, Chip Lupo with Wallet Hub joining us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, my friend. Make it a great day.
You too, Guy. We'll talk soon.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. Hey, on the flip side of that break, we're talking weather. Caesar joins us next for a complete update with your forecast. We'll be right back. But first, let's talk weather, shall we? Caesar joining us right here on the LZ. Hello, my friend.
How are you doing, Guy?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Hopefully you've been bundled up over the last few days. It's been kind of chilly.
Very chilly at that.
Right? Exactly. What was it? The little snow showers that we got going into Saturday morning. Felt a little nicer Friday morning. I can't even remember right now. I'm just looking forward to the next time we get snow. I know people don't want to hear that, but I love winter. I love forecasting winter. That's one of my favorite things.
We can tell who's excited
I know,
today.
right? So honestly, like, you know, there were parts of Virginia that did see some snow showers earlier in the morning, right? But right now, what we deal with is not any of that, luckily for us. We are only dealing with some of those clouds and, again, cold air still out there. It has become breezy as well, so certainly going to draw in a lot of that colder northerly air that's going to just leave us feeling very, very, very winter, much like winter here on our Monday. And then as we continue going towards the midweek, we do see a slight rain chance on Wednesday as we have another system that glances over towards the north of us. So again, not going to see so much of that cold air sticking around. Temperatures are expected to warm back up into the 40s. So as we know, the closer you are to 32, the better of a chance you get for a snowflake. At 40, there's no chance at all, or at least very little chances. Let's leave it at that. And then eyes to the weekend. Yes, Friday night is when we're looking at another chance for the possibility of some white fluffy stuff out there. So we're going to talk about exactly what that means for us coming up in just a second. But today's forecast, early snow chances still possible for parts of Northern Virginia as we head in towards our afternoon, right? But no, not much for Maryland, not much for DC either. Temperatures will still be hanging around those mid-30s for us. And yes, gusty winds out of the north are really going to reinforce that chilly feel in the air. Then looking at the evening planner, we'll have a lot of the temperatures still hanging well in towards those 30s. And then boom, look at that. Overnight, temperatures back into the teens and 20s. So if you don't like waking up to the cold and warming up your car, make sure at least you bundle up before you do that tomorrow, because it's even going to be colder. It's going to be quite a frosty start to the day out there. Good thing is, though, not seeing much in the way of any kind of wet weather with that really cold air. So we stay dry going into Tuesday. Wednesday, like I mentioned, temperatures are expected to get back near 50 degrees here in the district. And yes, there's that glancing chance of some rain showers, but it's going to be very quick passing, and then by the time we get to Thursday, drying on out, mostly sunny skies really hanging with us. But I told you about what we could possibly see for parts of today, right? Most of it's going to be down towards, I want to say central Virginia and southern Virginia. We stay pretty dry going into our Tuesday. Not too bad out there. Some clouds could hang around, but again, it's going in towards Wednesday where we could see the possibility of another wet chance, right? So that's exactly what the European model shows here. Some rain showers, mostly to the north and the east of us, but we could see some here closer towards the district. And then luckily the mountains keep a lot of that colder air that brings in snow over towards West Virginia and doesn't let it really blend over to us. Could see maybe a stray flake or two going into Thursday afternoon, but then Friday afternoon and evening, that's our next chance. That's going to be the best chance to potentially see another little coating of snow once again. Not expecting a blockbuster storm here, but again, any and all snow is always welcome by my standards. Guy, I don't know about you, but I'm here. I love to wake up and see a little bit of snow on the ground, end up having that chilly, frosty morning, and then just having that hot cup of coffee. You know, and that's exactly what we're going to be set up with going into the weekend as well, as temperatures continue to hang well in towards those 30s, morning starting off in the 20s. Winter's in full force. Yep. Meteorological winter was December 1st. We're already about a week in. And it's not even the astronomical winter yet, where, you know, that's where, like, the shortest day is, the coldest nights, all that stuff. We're just getting started.
You can tell who's excited. Santa already brought him a gift in the case of cold weather.
Right?
Caesar, all things weather, joining us right here on the Live Zone. We truly appreciate you. Folks, if you haven't already done so yet, make sure you download the Fox Local app. That way you can take that chilly forecast with you on the go. Take it with you on the go. Perhaps you could bow to producer Joey.
All right, Marylanders are bowing to cars. Yes, it's a Japanese custom for children to politely bow to drivers for stopping at crosswalks. Now TikTokers are doing it all over Maryland. Nobody knows why this started or why it's just Maryland, but if you look this up now, you'll probably find your town. And Maryland drivers, being how they are actually surprisingly cooperative here.
And that's how you bow out of the show. We truly appreciate you watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow at 12. The Take coming up next, right here on Fox 5.